The world of global trade is a complex and interconnected web. When one nation decides to tug at the threads of that web, the ripples can be felt across continents. That's precisely what's happened since 2018, as the Trump administration has engaged in a series of tit-for-tat tariff battles, primarily with China. These tariffs, essentially taxes on imported goods, have been met with retaliatory measures, creating a climate of uncertainty and volatility in the global market. The stated goal of these tariffs, according to the Trump administration, is to protect American jobs and reduce the trade deficit. However, the reality is far more complicated, and the consequences of this trade war are far-reaching. Businesses are grappling with increased costs, consumers are facing higher prices, and the global economy is teetering on the brink of a downturn. This is not a game of Monopoly where one can simply slap a luxury tax on boardwalk and call it a day. The global economy is a delicate ecosystem, and the indiscriminate use of tariffs is akin to lobbing a hand grenade into that ecosystem. The fallout is messy, unpredictable, and potentially disastrous. The situation continues to evolve rapidly, with new tariffs and countermeasures announced frequently. It's a high-stakes game of economic chicken, and the world is watching anxiously to see who will blink first. The seeds of this trade war were sown in 2018, when the Trump administration imposed tariffs on billions of dollars worth of Chinese goods, citing unfair trade practices and intellectual property theft. China, not one to back down from a fight, promptly retaliated with tariffs of their own on American goods. This back and forth continued, with each side escalating the conflict. In 2025, the situation reached a fever pitch when the Trump administration announced a new blanket 10% tariff on all goods entering the US from 185 countries. This move, unprecedented in its breadth, sent shockwaves through the global market and drew condemnation from allies and adversaries alike. China's response was swift and severe. They announced retaliatory tariffs of 34% on US imports, targeted US companies with export controls and anti-dumping investigations, and even unveiled export controls on rare earth minerals, crucial components in many high-tech products. The situation has escalated to the point where, as of April 7, 2025, the US is threatening to impose an additional 50% tariff on Chinese goods if China doesn't withdraw its retaliatory tariffs. This would bring the total tariff rate on some Chinese goods to a staggering 104%. To put that in perspective, during the Great Depression, the average tariff rate on imports was 22%. The economic consequences of this trade war are already being felt across the globe. The US stock market experienced its worst week since 2020, with the Dow Jones Industrial Average plummeting 2.7%. European and UK stocks also saw significant declines. The Nikkei 225, Japan's benchmark stock index, entered bear market territory. Economists are warning of a potential global recession, with some predicting a further 20% decline in the US stock market. Inflation is expected to rise, with a projected 2.7% increase in 2025. The cost of everyday goods, from cars to beer, is set to skyrocket. The impact on specific sectors has been particularly severe. Constellation Brands, a major beer producer, estimates a significant hit to its earnings due to tariffs on aluminum cans. Italian wine producers are bracing for a potential €323 million annual revenue loss due to a 20% tariff on European wines. The trade war is not just an economic problem, it's also a political one. China's retaliatory measures are seen as a significant escalation of the conflict, and President Xi Jinping has expressed confidence in China's ability to weather the storm. In the US, lawmakers are considering a bill to reassert congressional authority over presidential tariffs, a sign of growing unease within the government. Other countries, caught in the crossfire, are scrambling to protect their own interests. Canada has announced new duties on certain US vehicles, while the EU is preparing tariffs on a significant portion of US exports. The long-term implications of this trade war are still unfolding, but one thing is clear: the global trading system as we know it is under threat. The rules-based order that has governed international trade for decades is being eroded by protectionist policies and tit-for-tat retaliation. The Trump administration's approach to trade, characterized by unilateral action and a disregard for international norms, has alienated allies and emboldened rivals. The US, once a champion of free trade, is now seen by many as a bully in the global marketplace. This trade war is not just about tariffs and trade deficits. It's about trust, cooperation, and the future of the global economy. If the US and China, the world's two largest economies, cannot find a way to resolve their differences peacefully, the consequences will be felt for generations to come. The world is at a crossroads. We can choose the path of cooperation and shared prosperity, or we can continue down the road of protectionism and conflict. The choice is ours, and the stakes have never been higher.